Regular meeting of the governing body of the Borough of Bloomingdale, Tuesday, February 21st, 2017. I would ask everyone to please rise to salute our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Dunleavy.
Here.
Council members Hudson.
Present.
Costa.
Here.
Del Ripa.
Here.
D'Amato.
Here.
Sandemeyer.
Present.
Yazdi.
Also with us, our municipal clerk, Jane McCarthy, Borough Attorney, Dawn Sullivan. And this is an official meeting of the governing body of the Borough of Bloomingdale. On December 28, 2016, the date, time, and place of this official meeting was faxed and mailed to all local news media and posted here at Borough Hall. Our first order of business, before I address that, I'd like to welcome everyone here this evening, and I'd like to welcome members of our police department here tonight as we honor Sergeant Dan Fletcher, and Chief, welcome here as well. And to Dorothy and Sandy and Randy, thank you for being here as well. At this time, I'd ask the Public Health and Safety Committee to join me off the dais for our presentation, if you would, please. Thank you.
I know it is.
Again, good evening, everyone. And before I introduce Sergeant Dan Fletcher, I will in a moment invite Chief Burrell to the podium. But we're here tonight to honor Sergeant Fletcher for, I know what he will say, all in the line of duty, but for an amazing act that he had performed as a police officer, and you and the entire department continue to amaze me and impress me, and we're blessed to have you. So with that said, I'd invite Chief Burrell up to say a few words.
Good evening, everybody. Before I get into the details, I just want to start with, if you could just hang in there with me for a minute, because I just have a few things I want to talk about. What is mental illness? Simply put, mental illness refers to a wide range of mental health conditions and/or disorders that affect your mood, your thinking, and your behaviors. It goes from mental health concern to mental health illness when ongoing signs and symptoms cause frequent stress and affect your ability to function. About 1 in every 5 adults, the age 18 or older, suffer from diagnosable mental disorders given in any year. So anyone over 18, 1 in every 5 adults. 90% of children who commit suicide have suffered from some type of mental health condition. So many of our veterans who suffer from post-traumatic stress syndrome, and the list goes on and on. There's so many different types of mental health disorders and illnesses out there that I'd be up here for the next 20 minutes just trying to, go over some of them. So that's just an example of a few. But one thing is, no one is immune. It can affect any age, any race, any religion, any financial type of income. Mental illness does not discriminate. If I can say anything else, that's one thing that's big and bold. It does not discriminate. And I think everyone in this room can sit here, and if you think about it, every one of us probably knows somebody who suffers from some type of mental illness. So it's a problem. It's a big problem. Examples of mental illness include anxiety, panic disorders, obsessive-compulsive disorders, depression, suicide, bipolar disorder, eating disorders, addictive behaviors, and again, the list, I think all of us know somebody as that list continues, if I was to move on. The good news is most of these cases, managed with a combination of medication and/or therapy, most of the time, these things are treatable. So that's the good news. You can get better, and you can completely recover from it. So there is hope but the key is catching these illnesses before they get to the point of suicide or some type of real serious emergency. The reason why I spoke about that, it's why I'm here tonight. That's what led us here tonight, and the members of our department and Sergeant Fletcher to be recognized. On January 13th of this year, the Bloomingdale Police Department received a call from an individual asking us to do a welfare and/or a mental health emergency check on a friend of theirs. The individual who had called us had gone to the house. He knocked on the door. He got no response. The truck of his friend was in the driveway, and he was concerned. Furthermore, he'd received a text message that was, one that really alarmed him. It was an alarming text message. And in that text message, basically it came across as somebody who was depressed, somebody who was down on their luck, somebody who potentially could, cause harm to themselves. So that being said, our officers responded to the scene, and in this case, Sergeant Fletcher arrived on scene and got no response at the door, just like that fellow's friend didn't get a response. Shortly after, he tried calling the individual by name. So Sergeant Fletcher called him by name, opened the door, yelled in, and still got no verbal response from that individual. So now we're concerned. We certainly have, a serious concern, and something that we have to address further. At that point, Sergeant Fletcher and Patrolman Gary Walker went inside the residence, and as Sergeant Fletcher was walking in down the hallway, he looked to his left, he looked back to his right, and there's an individual sitting on the edge of a bed with a rifle between his legs and the barrel of the rifle facing his face and head area. Sergeant Fletcher proceeded to engage in conversation with this individual, who did indicate that he wanted to harm himself. So we have a very serious situation on our hands at that point. Sergeant Fletcher continued to engage in him at times in an emotional conversation, but at some point was able to connect with this individual. And he was able to convince him, after lengthy conversation, he was able to convince him to unload 2 rounds from the rifle, which was later to be determined it was a .35 caliber rifle. So Sergeant Fletcher was able to get him to remove these 2 rounds from the weapon, from the gun, throw the rounds onto the ground, and then slide the gun towards Sergeant Fletcher. So again, the emotional impact and involvement in a situation like that, there are no words for that. You prepare the best that you can, but ultimately, your instincts take over, who you are takes over, and you deal with this situation. Shortly after conversing, Sergeant Fletcher and the other officers who had arrived on the scene, they were able to convince this individual to seek the help that he needed. So ultimately, he was taken from the scene and ultimately treated and given the direction and help that hopefully he needed and hopefully he got. I don't want to lessen the fact that there were other officers there. We had Patrolman Gary Walker, Patrolman Vincent Graziosa, and from the Riverdale Department, Patrolman Andy Duffy. They were there and assisted. But in my opinion, everybody played a role. Everyone played a part. But in this particular case, I certainly feel that Sergeant Fletcher truly was the difference maker in this scenario. And not only was he a difference maker in the sense that we had a positive conclusion, but ultimately this could have turned tragic on many levels, from the individual who was suffering from the illness at that time, to the officers, to whoever's families could have been affected if this turned into a tragedy or some type of force or some other means had to be used. In this case, it was, I feel very strongly that any officer on our department would go to that call and handle it. They handle adverse conditions in situations like that. I feel that any one of them could handle that. But at the same time, I'm very happy that it was Sergeant Fletcher, because knowing Danny and how he operates and handles people, he's very compassionate. He shows a lot of empathy, and I truly believe his personality, his demeanor came into play on this particular call. So I truly think that it was a great thing that it was actually Danny who handled this call. Although, again, I stress that I feel everybody is capable, but in this particular situation, it was just meant to be that way. I'm really proud of Danny. He did an amazing job under stressful, intense circumstances, and he represented our department, he represented this community as a true professional, but as a compassionate person, above all. And, I've had a chance to talk to Danny about it. We both had the chance to speak to the individual who Danny dealt with that night and conversed with him since then, and he's doing well, and he's on the road to recovery. And I attribute a lot of that to how you handled yourself, and I'm very, very proud of you, Dan. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. As the Chief talked a bit about the crisis and seriousness of mental health, mental illness, Dan, it's your actions, saving a man's life and under those circumstances, that the borough will begin establishing the borough as a stigma-free zone, because the stigma associated with the disease of mental illness is identified as the primary reasons individuals fail to seek help that they need to recover. And obviously, your actions show this individual that there is help and compassion and care, as you showed that evening in your actions. So, Sergeant Fletcher, I am proud to be mayor of the borough of Bloomingdale because of men like you. So at this time, I'd invite you to the podium, and ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Sergeant Dan Fletcher. Sergeant, the entire governing body is honored to present you the 2017 Merit Award presented to Sergeant Daniel Fletcher in proud recognition for your actions and the courage you displayed on January 13, 2017 during a life-threatening situation. Sergeant Daniel Fletcher, you are hereby recognized for your exemplary service by disarming a fellow citizen who was in mental crisis and threatening to harm himself with a loaded .35 caliber rifle. Sergeant Daniel Fletcher, your actions to defuse this dangerous situation not only safeguarded the citizen, but also yourself and other fellow officers. Proudly presented to you by myself, the mayor, and the governing body, this 21st day of February 2017. And also, only on special occasions, we present the key to Mr. Daniel Fletcher. Let's say a few words.
I echo what the chief said. If there's anybody that I know that would handle this any better than Dan, it's Dan. Yeah. I mean, there's nobody. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Good job. Let's see if Dan answers.
We're lucky to have you, and we're lucky to have the entire police department. You're the best.
I know Danny has a real long time, and I echo the same job. I mean, he handles himself professionally, as everybody else does in the department, and being on the public safety committee, we're honored.
Oh, no, no.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. You want to say a few words?
No.
Oh, that's Before we take a few moments break, again, thank you to the department members.
Thank you, Mayor.
Who are here, and staff members who are here with us tonight. I look forward to working with the chief and the department on this mental illness crisis and with our stigma-free zone to let everyone know, not just our residents, that there is no stigma with the disease and there's help for anyone who needs it. That's the most important message. So thanks again, Dan. Very proud of you. So a round of applause for you.
Dan, hold the spot good. There you go.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you again. Very honored. We'll take a 5-minute recess. Room at 7:27 PM. Thank you, everyone. Continuing. On our agenda, there's no need for an early executive. There are 3 non-agenda items. One is an amendment to the temporary budget. I need a motion to approve our 2016 tonnage recycling grant application and a tax title lien. Those are the 3 non-agenda items, if anyone wishes to speak to. And with that said, I need a motion for early public comment reserved for agenda items. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wishing to speak to an agenda item, please come up, state your name and address for the record. Seeing no one, motion to close early public comment.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Reports. Jane, do you have anything for us?
The only thing I had is I wanted to thank everyone for the Socks for Soldiers program. We're done with the collection here, but if you still have them, you can bring them over to the Passaic County site in Wanacue.
Yes,
I
on
think they
Ringwood
left
Ave.
in February, but thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Dawn, do you have anything? Attorney Dawn.
Nothing this evening, Mayor.
Okay, any council member have anything?
I'll give an update on the garden.
Please.
The signups have started. We have a number of people that have signed up already, and if anyone is interested, then go to the clerk's office and sign up through there.
Wonderful.
How many plots?
City Green is helping us lay out our garden, so we're not 100% sure, but we know we'll have over 20. So right now, I'm only putting 20 aside, and we don't have 20 people signed up yet, so we still have plenty left. But it might end up being more than that. You know, what we'd really like down the line is to save enough room for 2 really large raised beds so that the seniors can come, and you're talking, waist high, so seniors can come and have their own place. But it takes time and money to get all of this done, so. But right now, probably 20 to 25.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Dawn. Any other council member have anything for us?
Just
Other-
a
Yep, I'm sorry.
quick reminder, because I did that today, that the animal registration is due in a couple days.
Right, pet licenses due March 1st, avoid late fees, right? That's the one? Right. Anyone else have anything? Other than the budget is, we're looking to introduce the budget on March 21st, so the Budget Committee is diligently working. So we will have an intro on March 21st of the municipal 2017 budget. Moving along, I need a motion now for the approval of the consent agenda. Who makes that motion for minutes from the February 7th work session?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Pending business. This is second final reading for Public Ordinance 3, 2017, to establish Chapter 69 of the Borough Code entitled Site Plan Review and Subdivision of Land. Can I have a public notice statement, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this ordinance was posted in the municipal building, published in the Herald News. Copies available to the public, said a motion may be made that it be read by title.
And who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And that is an ordinance of the Borough of Bloomingdale in the County of Passaic and State of New Jersey to establish Chapter 69 of the Bloomingdale Borough Code entitled Site Plan Review and Subdivision of Land, including Section 69-1 through 69-75 and the corresponding appendix.
And now I need a motion for a public hearing. Who makes that motion?
So moved. Second?
All in favor? Anyone wishing to speak to 3, 2017? Seeing no one, motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And who moves to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
And discussion? Other than, what we were doing is codifying Chapter 69, and I believe, and I'm going to always put Mr. Graff on the spot. How long has this been out there waiting to be codified? Quite some time, correct?
Ordinance Review Committee, probably close to 12 months at least.
Right.
And it hadn't been codified since probably the early 70s.
Right. So I want to commend the ordinance review with our construction code officer, Dan Hagberg, and the committee, and with which Mr. Bill Graff is a part of, to finally get this in front of us and codify it in just about 40 years. So it's a good day. Thank you very much. And can I have a roll call, please?
Councilmembers Costa.
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes.
Della Ripa.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Thank you. Now, new business. I need a motion for Resolution 2017 2.5, authorizing a change order for Mike Fitzpatrick and Son for our Star Lake Road project in the amount of $74,427.06. Who makes that motion, please?
Second?
Any discussion?
You know what that was for?
That was additional storm work running into Catherine and additional utility issues on Weber. Still under, total allowable funds that we had for it, so. Any other comment? A roll call, please.
Councilmembers D'Amato.
Yes.
Della Ripa.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
I need a motion for Resolution 2017 2.6, payment of the bills. Who makes that motion?
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Della Ripa.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi. Costa.
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes.
Now I need a motion for Resolution 2017 2.7 and 8
Do you want to do the other third one in on agenda at the same time or no?
and 9, which was the non-agenda tax title lien. Who makes that motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Hudson.
Yes.
Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
D'Amato. Della Ripa.
Yes. And just, I should have mentioned this earlier, what those are, for those keeping score at home, if the borough sells a lien on taxes or utility bills and then they're redeemed, they're paid by a third party or the homeowner, we redeem those liens, and that's what we've done on those items there. Moving along, I need a resolution for 2017 2.10, authorizing interlocal service agreement with Borough of Kinnelon for animal control services. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second?
Discussion, again, we already have a contract with Animal Control Services for Kinnelon. What we're doing is just correcting some language, a little bit housekeeping items where we have always bought the animals recovered in Kinnelon to our shelter, but the contract didn't reference that. There's no monetary change, it's just clearing language that the animals are bought to the Bloomingdale shelter. Any further comment? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes.
Della Ripa.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
I need now a motion for 2017 2.11, authorizing contract with Phoenix Advisors LLC for continuing disclosure services. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. This is a $1,000 contract to bring us into compliance with all our financial SEC regulations that need to be posted for view as a result of the Securities Exchange Act. It's money well spent to not to exceed $1,200 to keep us in compliance. Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Yazdi.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes.
Della Ripa.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Sandemeyer.
Yes.
I need a motion for 2017 2.12, granting the County of Passaic a performance bond for work performed on Passaic County roadways. Who makes that motion?
So moved?
Second.
Discussion. Our bond has come up for expiration, so we are simply authorizing our bond for a 2-year period, performance bond in the amount of $30,000 when work is performed by the borough in the right-of-way of the County of Passaic. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Costa.
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes.
Della Ripa.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Item G will be tabled until our March 7th meeting. That was my error, putting it on this agenda. It is, the Rose Fund will come with their recommendations on our March 7th meeting. They held their second and final annual meeting last Wednesday, and again, they'll be here March 7th to present the Rose Fund recommendations. Also, the next item, I don't believe, is not ready. It's not in order, so that'll be held to our March 7th meeting, assuming it's in order. The next item is I need a motion to introduce by title Ordinance 6, 2017, an ordinance amending the tobacco ordinance to increase the smoking age to 21 and implement a license fee to stores that sell e-cigarettes.
So moved.
Second. Let's just see, make sure I have the right one. Sorry. I did the right one. I turned over the wrong page. Okay.
And so we have our motions.
You want to read it now?
Second and final reading, well, I need all in favor. Second and final reading, we're going for March 7th.
Before you go to all favor.
Well, I'll ask for comment.
Oh, okay.
Jay, March 7th?
Yes, that's good.
Second and final, March 7th, 7 PM. I have motions. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Again, this is just introduction by title, public hearing, March 7th. So,
I understand.
yep.
And, all the facts here as far as smoking are absolutely true. It's killing 1 out of 5 adults and all of those good things, and raising the age would make a lot of sense. My only issue with this is that a 19-year-old, can just go down the street and pick up his pack of cigarettes. So I would like this ordinance to come in front of us when all surrounding towns, everyone that's touching us, would pass this at the same time, because otherwise, all we're doing is sending our customers that go to these convenience stores to pick up their sandwich and pick up their pack of butts to the next town over. So I have an issue with that, as well as the $750 e-cigarette fee. I don't believe our mom and pop delis can afford that, right? Otto's Deli, Walker's, Quick Shop down the street, they're just gonna stop selling it. And all that's gonna happen is, again, same thing. It's a convenience store. People go there because they wanna pick up their sandwich, at the same time they pick up all the other things. So this is more than just the 19 and 20-year-olds. We're talking now, the entire public will not go to them, and it's gonna cost them business. So I don't believe $750 is a fair number. If you wanna put some sort of a fee out there, I would recommend 0 until the entire state does this, right? And by the way, I'm all against smoking, all against all e-cigarettes and all of those things. But I don't believe that our town, solely by itself, should be putting these on. They're not business-friendly moves that we're making here.
Right, and I understand the position of the business-friendly aspect. And the public hearing, there could be continued debate. But I will say, just for the record tonight, is I believe that, well, as you saw recently over the weekend, Trenton just adopted the smoking age of 21. So the communities are rising. I would say we need to be the borough that starts it in our area. And my position is we adopt it, we do it, and then I will, along with our Board of Health, lobby the surrounding communities to do the same, to exactly your point. And I believe we'll get a positive response. When I reached out to surrounding communities, the answer was, well, no one's ever asked. That was really the answer. So I'm confident if we set the groundwork and we are the progressive ones to move forward, that these other towns will. And I think their municipal alliance programs, from seeing the news report, are already starting the groundwork to have these other towns do it. So, again, I respect entirely your position. We've debated this privately, and I understand the business part. But to that point, we received, and I copied the governing body on all of them, documentation from various lobby groups for retail stores, tobacco industry, and they contradict some of the studies on when kids start smoking, but none of them can show a value based on that age category. So, when I ask local retailers who caught my ear getting gas or in one of the stores, and I asked, what is your income from a 19, 20-year-old buying cigarettes? And there's no clue. So I don't believe it's a big loss of revenue for that age bracket. I believe the large market is, those well over 25 who've been smoking for a number of years, and that's not the market where we can go after or are going after. So.
If it was up to me, I would make it 60. I would abolish the entire smoking, right, of all alcohol, because that's the second cause of death, right? And probably the leading cause of
Right.
death. And I would do it for guns as well, but I don't believe there's certain things that we should take on, there's certain things that the state should take on, or all communities should band together and do it at the same time, kicking more business from Bloomingdale, small-town America, to surrounding neighborhoods. You know, what you're saying, if what you're saying is true, over the next 6 months, they all band together, you know what, I stand corrected. But if they don't, then what are we gonna do?
Again, we
We're gonna
will,
just keep on sending our businesses down to
I
those
guess,
towns.
I guess that's a risk I'm willing to take, and hopefully the governing body is, and because of the topic we're talking about, I'm confident these other towns will move forward, and we can only lobby them to do so.
The $750 fee.
Well, the maximum is $12.50. So, what's that? Well, the next ordinance was to establish this.
It's in the same one.
It's one ordinance. The next one was to amend the tobacco to add a new section for licensing of. So the one ordinance, this ordinance is age and implementing a license fee. The next ordinance is establishing, amending, there was two ordinances.
I think it might have been amended, this was done Thursday, I think Dawn said.
Oh,
It might have
prohibition.
changed.
Okay, so the first ordinance by title, which we have not moved yet, is 100% just the age, 21. So to your point on the e-cig, we could address that at a moment. So appreciate your comments. Again, I think we move forward, and the 17th, we can have more debate. Any business owners who had my ear, I said, come on the 7th and voice your concerns. I think a lot of information has been given to the governing body, for and against, and I think we need to be the progressive entity that moves forward, and hopefully the rest follow. And I believe the state's going in that direction. Because the state won't do it, because the lobby money that the state gets from tobacco, they're not changing it.
Trend's already there, and, you know, next step should be the state. And that would be fantastic. I'd like to see it.
But let's be part of this move and make it happen locally, and lobby our communities to do so.
I've run into a couple of the council from the neighboring towns just recently. I see them on a regular basis. And there is really some genuine interest in knowing exactly what we're doing first. And they have a huge interest in moving forward. So I think they're I feel like they're looking to us.
Also,
So-
it's a major health issue. I mean, if it wasn't a major health issue, I would agree with you, Ray, but it is. Both my boys smoke, and I wish this was in place before they could have gotten a chance to smoke, because I can't get them to stop now. I've lost two brothers that have died from smoking-related illness, and a mother-in-law, and I just think that it's time to be the leader instead of following and waiting for the state to act. We know how that works. So, all due respect.
Yep. No, I said the health thing, my father-in-law died from lung cancer, and I'm there with you.
Right.
Okay, so again, this is just for introduction by title. Any other comments? All in favor, okay, Jay? All in favor on introduction?
Aye.
Aye.
And this is, you want to read it?
Oh,
Yep.
An ordinance of the Borough of Bloomingdale in the County of Passaic and State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 3, Police Regulations, Section 3-9, Prohibition against possession and use of tobacco by minors of the Code of the Borough of Bloomingdale.
And again, that's the name of the ordinance, which now would have the language of prohibiting the sale to 21 and under. Okay, second and final reading again was March 7th, 7 p.m. Now, the next item is I need a motion to introduce 7-2017, amending the tobacco ordinance to add a new section, electronic smoking device licensing fee, which in the ordinance is $750. We can go to $12.50, but being it's a new charge, I believe we start at $7.50 is my recommendation. And do I have a motion for this introduction?
So moved.
Second?
Any further comment?
Well, again, same topic, right? All we're doing is taking that business away from the mom and pops and driving them back to quick shop, and that's unfair.
Again, I don't disagree with you, but no one's yet to establish to me any real true loss of revenue on that. And I guess most of us, with the exception of Dawn, have children in this range. From my children are 16 to 25. And in their circuit of friends, which is probably 100 people, none of them smoke. So I don't see the market is that big. you know?
19 and 20, I agree with you.
See,
Right? Maybe 15 kids in
disagree
town.
with that.
Right? That would affect $750 out of those 3 shops that may be selling those e-cigs now, and they're gonna cancel selling them because they probably aren't making $750 a year.
Well, I think that's
In
almost,
supporting that sale, that customer that's gonna pick up his sandwich and his e-cig at the same time,
Right.
it's gonna go to Quick Check and pick it up,
but the other,
driving it away from him.
again, we shall see. The point is, though, the e-cig one, that's even as bad or worse than the other, because they're marketing to kids, you know, with their, special
Bubblegum
flavors and there's at least studies on that as far as its healthy, or its impact to health than
This isn't about
tobacco.
health, this is all about the business.
I understand that.
Right?
I
I'm
get
there
it.
with the health
I get it.
part.
But I think us setting the example, and I as mayor will lobby these other towns' mayors to follow suit that what we're doing here. So any other comment?
I did have a question.
Yes.
If we, after discussion, decide on a different amount, is that a substantive change, or is that something we could do as part of the?
Council wants to reduce it to 500 on adoption. Is that a material change? I think we'd be able to move on.
Okay.
Because it's a reduction, it's not an increase.
I'll be honest, I don't see 750, 500, that's.
Right.
that's peanuts
Right, no, I'm just
compared.
saying, I don't want to introduce it and then have to, if we decide some other number, reintroduce it, but we won't have to, okay.
And I do believe, as it was presented to us at a previous meeting, that these establishments that sell those, I'm sure have in their marketing budget from their providers the ability to absorb these costs. So I don't think it's a direct hit to the
Well, I
business owner.
wasn't-
Yeah.
Comment on this, the fees for them to be able to sell.
Mm-hmm.
I think the fines should be
I'm going to get to that in a moment, and I should have mentioned it.
way more than whatever it is,
Well,
so that would really
okay.
deter the people.
Right, we had that discussion. I based on the non-compliance ratios that were told to us at the last meeting by the Board of Health, and we were all blown away by, we actually weren't that bad compared to 70+% non-compliant. And that was my issue. The issue I felt is the penalty for selling to minors, right? Or now under 21, if this is adopted. But we cannot change that. Dawn and her office thoroughly investigated that state statute. We cannot amend the fine. But what we can do, which is in the ordinance we just introduced, was broaden them a bit. In other words, they were minimum maximum. So previously, our code said 250 first violation, 500 second, and 1,000 for third. What we've introduced is 500 for first, 750 for second, and 1,000 for third. So we did what we're allowed to within the law do, was increase first offense by $250 and second offense by $250. We're able to do that, but that's all we can do. So now the first offense is a $500 fine versus $250 previously.
Now, who monitors these stores if they are staying in compliance?
The Board of Health. The Board of Health does sting operations. I think we do 4-year previously, but now we're going to have additional revenue generated to do more education, sting operations, enforcement. So our Board of Health actually goes in and has individuals, the laws, if they look under 30, you got to ID them. So if they're not being ID'd, our businesses are already getting fined. We were 38% non-compliant. So that tells you a fair amount of businesses were fined in Bloomingdale. Other towns, remember, were 70+%. So, again, but that was the point of if the fine was higher, maybe they'd be more apt in doing their job of checking identification. So, okay, any other comment?
Is there a way to reward the small bit, or any business, if they stay 100% in compliance on the fee side?
I'd have to check code, talk with Board of Health on that. I don't know, reward them for doing their job?
Well, it's doing their job, but there's a, you can see. it's
No, I
an
hear you,
incentive.
because it's a health issue, but it's like, what's the difference of awarding someone not drinking and driving? I mean,
Yeah, but
you know.
John, I think John I like your idea. I mean, even a certificate that goes in their front window.
things
How
like.
would you know
yeah.
that unless you posted somebody 24 hours a day there?
I'm sorry?
Reality.
I'm sorry?
No.
What's your
What
question?
you could do is over the course of a 2-year period, if this one business was 100% compliant, the borough can recognize them as a good citizen award type of thing. And that's something I'll talk to the Board of Health about. That's something we can consider doing. Yeah.
There you go, Linda.
Honor good behavior. So, all right, so we have a second on the table for second and final reading, March 7th. All in favor? Aye. Okay. So, second and final public hearing will be on March 7th. Thank you. Item K, I need a motion for resolution 2017 2. 13, canceling of utility capital ordinance. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second?
Just so the council knows, I've begun going through, and there's not many, but there's some older funding, because as we're talking and planning on going for permanent bonding on already, authorized debt in the borough, we're cleaning house on anything that projects are done, money's there, we're not going to reallocate it for something new, we're going to cancel that debt. And this one is $117,173.89, which was a funded project for water lines installed in Morse Lakes a number of years ago, in 2007, that was funded by the DEP through a grant. And on the books was this 117, which we're just canceling off the book. So it lowers our debt in the utility. And I'm reviewing now with our CFO and treasurer and auditors, anything else we can impact and cancel. So we have until the end of the year to do that. So, but this one is just, we're getting off the books because it has no impact on the reserve or the current fund. So just lowering the debt on the books. So any further comment? Can I have a roll call, please?
Council members D'Amato. Della Ripa.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Yazdi. Costa.
Yes.
The next item is I need a motion for 2017 2.14. I need a motion to form the Public Information Committee for our Community Rating System Flood Program. As you know, we established our community rating system last year. We obtained a 10% discount for our residents who require flood insurance, though we could get a maximum of 25%. So as we continue to increase programs and better ourselves to increase that discount for our residents, one of the things is establishing this committee, the Public Information Committee, which requires certain individuals, such as an insurance agent, a banker, our flood manager, and so on. So the committee I need a motion for would be myself, the mayor, Allstate agent Jim Marasco, Lakeland Bank banker Carrie Ann Reber, borough resident Mark Murin, and construction zoning official Dan Hagberg. Who makes that motion to formalize that committee?
So moved.
Have it? Second? And again, this is going to, at the very least, bring us to 15%, and hopefully we could do some additional steps to get a higher rating for our residents. Any further comment? Roll call, please.
Council members Della Ripa.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes.
We had other non-agenda items. We did the tax title lien. I now need a motion to amend our temporary budget. Who makes that motion?
2.15.
So moved.
15.
Second?
Any discussion? As you can see, the bulk of it is for our pension payments and $3,000 for general administration. That was to increase the postage line because we had 3 certified mailers to do, 1 for the flood meeting next week and 2 for our open space grant application for our basketball court renovations. So we had to get a little more in postage. So that you could see is why we're amending the temporary budget. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Council members Hudson.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes.
Della Ripa.
Yes.
And the next item I need is Resolution 2017 2.16. This is simply an approval for me, along with DPW and our recycling coordinator, to file our 2016 recycled tonnage grant. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sondemire.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes.
Della Ripa.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Thank you. At this time, I need a motion for late public comment. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Anyone wishing to speak, please come on up, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Sal Salvato. I'm with the New Jersey Gasoline Convenience and Automotive Association. And I hope it's not inappropriate to speak on the ordinances that were introduced tonight, but I would like to do so as I've traveled a long way to be here, and I may not be able to be here on March 7th. The points that were made by the good councilman are exactly what I came to speak to you about. We believe that this body should pass a resolution and ask the legislators in Trenton to pass a statewide age increase so that we don't have that ping-pong effect with people leaving this town and hurting the small businesses in this town to go to another town over, or even if there is some success banding together some towns, they still can go elsewhere. And that does nothing except hurt the small businesses in this town. If it were uniformly applied throughout the state, that effect would not happen. We do have some of our members, small business owners, that have given us some statistical information that shows the kinds of revenues that they would lose if this were to happen and customers were to go elsewhere. There are two items that these types of stores sell that are extremely low profit items: lottery and cigarettes. There is barely a profit in it. In fact, if somebody steals a pack from you, you got to probably sell 11 or 12 packs to make up for the pack that was stolen. That's how little profit there is in it. However, this is what cigarettes and lottery do. And if you buy a lottery ticket from me, I make a nickel, 5 cents. So I'm not in this for the lottery. I'm not really in it even for the tobacco. But when you come in and buy a pack of cigarettes, you are very likely to buy a cup of coffee. I make $1 when I sell you a cup of coffee. You are very likely to buy a bag of chips or a bottle of water. I make $1 when you buy one of those things. So you can buy a pack of cigarettes for $7. I make a couple of cents on that. But if you buy a cup of coffee, that's how I pay my employees. That's how I make my living. The $750 fee, that is a huge burden. And sir, with all due respect, you should not be thinking that the supplier is going to pay that fee. That is not going to happen. This is money that comes out of the small business owner's pocket. The other thing with regard to the electronic cigarettes, there are more and more studies, including we just received notification just today that the Center for Disease Control is involved in that are showing a great advantage for people utilizing electronic cigarettes rather than the conventional tobacco, and it is far more healthier, and there is just a lot of documentation that people are using this successfully to stop smoking. So to actually place that fee on that product is an added burden when there is some success, or now there are studies emerging that show there is a success. This is a small business issue. That is why I've come here to appeal to you. I don't smoke. I quit. Next month it'll be 30 years exactly. And I'm glad I did. I probably would have died. My father quit when I was 11 years old. He would have died. I know a lot of people. We all do. It is not a good thing. However, at the moment, the way the business structure is, we rely on those customers coming in to purchase other items. If they can go one town over or 2 towns over, they will. And when they go there to buy their cigarettes, that's where they're going to buy their coffee, that's where they'll buy their sandwich, that's where they'll buy their chips and their water. I am asking you, please, to table this. The reason this has not passed in Trenton, because it has passed the legislature, is the governor has vetoed it. I do not believe, nor does anybody believe, that the next governor, which will happen a year from now, will be vetoing it. It is very likely to pass. I think if you pass a resolution, and in it you even make comments that if it's not passed by Trenton by the end of 2018, that then you would revisit this. I won't even come and visit you then. I appreciate the
More
opportunity.
than welcome to visit us anytime you please. We will do a resolution to our legislatures to change it statewide. We're going to have a second and final reading on the 7th, and the governing body will decide if the ordinance proceeds. I agree with you that the next governor will adopt it. I think it's more of a reason for us to show the next governor how these towns are being progressive. And thirdly, I can't believe you used the word healthier in a sentence when you talked about e-cigarettes. Broccoli's healthier than bread, but e-cigs, healthier? They're less carcinogenic than cigarettes.
Well, then maybe that's the word that needs to be used. However, the point that I was making, Mr. Mayor, is that there is now evidence emerging that there is a benefit to smoking or to utilizing electronic cigarettes rather than
They're
cigarettes.
less bad for you.
Well, if that's the way we want to couch it, I could do it in many different ways. I think my point is made. I'm
No, I
not
understand your
saying that
point.
it's a
Yeah,
good thing.
yeah.
I'm not saying, I'm saying it is being proven little by little to be a better alternative, and to disincentivize that and burden a small business owner with even a $500 fee is just, it's unreasonable. These small business owners they don't make that kind of money on these items. They just don't. They bring customers in to purchase the cup of coffee. I make $1 on you when I sell you a cup of coffee.
I think everyone here understands that completely, yeah.
Well, I am asking that on March 7th, if I cannot be back here, whether I am or not, I am asking each of you to please vote no and take into consideration the small business owners in this municipality.
Sure, I appreciate your
Thank you
comments.
for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Before you go, you seem to have a lot of knowledge on this. Those signs that are out there that says state age 19, who pays for that?
That's paid for by the small business owner.
The business owner?
Yeah. And actually, my organization will, we try and direct people to websites where they can print them on their own and blow them up and that sort of thing, so that they don't actually have to buy them. There's all kinds of services that go in and out of these small businesses, selling all kinds of signs. I just had a member tell me that somebody tried to sell him $300 worth of signs of things that he needs to post for his employees. I said, stop, here, website, go print them out, do it. So those are available in many different means, different vendors that will sell them.
Right.
So that is, not, I don't think that that's a backbreaking expense. A backbreaker would be a $500 fee. That would just be very, very difficult. That's horrible.
And John, in line with that, the ordinance does recommend a sign. Are we going to provide like a,
No, the signs would be provided, the business owner and/or their wholesaler would have to provide that sign.
and the motivation is not to get the fine, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
If there's not that much money in it, and I don't know, never, how are these vape shops staying in business? If there's that little bit of profit? I've never been in one, so I don't know.
I do think that the vape shops have a different structure, and they're not selling, their product, a vapor product, is different than an electronic cigarette that you would purchase in a convenience store. They are selling something completely different. They have a mechanism, they have different fluids that go in them. There's a completely different profit structure in a vape shop. I'm talking about your local delicatessen convenience store. My member that sells gas and has the convenience store. Guess what? We don't make a lot of money on gas either. I'm sure that's common knowledge. But you know what? When you're at the pump and you get out of your car and you go in and buy that cup of coffee, you could spend $30 at the gas pump. I will make $1. That means I had to spend $29 for you to make $1. But if you come inside and buy a cup of coffee, you spend $2, I make another one. Which would I prefer to sell you? I'd prefer to sell you the cup of coffee. If you're not there buying gas, you're not going to be there to buy the coffee. If you don't come in to buy the lottery, or if you don't, our store sales go up when there's those big jackpots, because that's when people are coming in. And if most people have this human nature component that when you're there and you see those little things rolling around next to the cash register, the hot dogs and the little roly things and the cup of coffee and you're smelling it, and most people, they don't come in and spend $1 on the lottery ticket. They buy a cup of coffee, they buy a bag of chips. They do those things, and that's how I make my money. It's a burden to do what you're doing. I'm asking you to please vote no on March 7th on both of those ordinances, and I'm asking you to, in its place, pass a resolution, send it to Trenton, and ask to please pass this in Trenton on a statewide basis. There are 540 municipalities in this state that do not have this. There are 5 towns that have done exactly what I have just asked you to do. And there are 16 towns that have passed the ordinance. There's still 540 towns that haven't. And even if you got 20 towns in this northern Jersey to go along with you, there's still 520 more to go. The fair way, the right way to do this is to pass it in Trenton. When this comes up in Trenton, I do not testify against it because that would be hypocritical and in competition with what I'm saying to you now. I don't want my small business members to lose revenue, but I don't want them to lose revenue unfairly. If Trenton were to pass this, one, I wouldn't have to go to council meetings around the state, and two, it would be a blanket approach that is fair. This is not fair, even if Butler, Riverdale, Pompton Lakes, Paquonic, even if those towns all kind of joined in, it's still not difficult for somebody to go elsewhere to make the purchase. The purchase is still being made, it's just not being made in your municipality, and it is your small business owner in this community that loses out. And I'm asking you on March 7th to please vote no.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time. Thank you very
Anytime.
much.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? How are you?
Good, yourself?
Very well.
Dan Hawkins, 6 Pearl Street. With regard to Section 69 on the subdivision,
Right.
I noticed that there was the table of contents, but I didn't see the meat of the sandwich. Did that get published earlier? I missed it?
Attachment, I think.
What's that?
It was an attachment.
I downloaded the document in Word, and it stops at the end of the list of the appendix.
Was that from the website?
Yes.
I think it was published in 12, but I'd have to go up and look for the affidavits.
Let me see what's in the book if it's anything.
Let's see.
Bear with me.
This one.
I could have missed it, but
Well, I mean, we can go.
can you just look at the website and see if it's there?
It should be.
The internet's a little slow,
Oh, okay.
because this is isolated, so
I mean, yeah, but all it is the table of contents. It doesn't have the actual guts of the,
No.
oh, okay.
This is all I have.
Well, right.
This is all I have.
It's kind of like getting the table of contents of Journey to the Center of the Earth, and
Right, but all we updated was definitions, checklists.
so the contents of the,
Again, I'm going to defer to Mr. Graff. I don't want to put you on the spot, as I always do. Did you understand Mr. Hawkins' question?
I do.
And can you help me respond to that?
Sure. The Chapter 69, Mr. Hawkins, is not codified yet, so therefore Coded Systems has not loaded it onto the website.
Right.
And they perform that service for the borough. So if one wanted to see a copy of the actual ordinance, the borough clerk's office would be pleased to give that to you.
So when it's codified, it'll be on our code section of the web, because it is,
Once it's adopted, once it is adopted, then
Yeah.
Coded Systems
Right.
will load it onto the
Right.
website.
It's like this thick.
right, tonight's
oh,
action.
oh,
So-
yeah, I understand. It's a little bit like Obamacare. We have to pass it before we can see what's in it.
No, the planning board approved it.
Okay. Small joke.
You have a terrible joke, but go ahead.
Actually, not that far off.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, actually.
No, because that's exactly what Nancy Pelosi said.
No, the joke was bad.
No,
I'm
no.
not talking about Obamacare. Do you have anything else for us this evening?
That's it.
Okay, always a
Take care.
pleasure. Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no one, motion to close? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, there is no executive session this evening. I do want to thank everyone for being here, particularly for our police presentation. Governing body special meeting next Tuesday on our flood remapping program for the flats area of town, although extending to Reeve Ave and Knowles, February 28th, 7 PM. Work session, March 7th. I need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All in favor? Thank you.